Simply put, quite a bit has changed in the Gresham Police Department since I began my career in February of 1979. When I was hired, I was one of 33 sworn members of the department with a total of 47 and a half employees. By comparison, this year, the department has 126 sworn members and a total of 166 employees. 15 police officers have been added to this department since I became chief. My commitment remains a polite and professional standard for law enforcement and for myself personally. I will remain transparent and accountable. I have never brought discredit to this police department, nor do I intend to bring discredit in any of my future work. I thank you for your dedication and commitment to our community. I share that same dedication and commitment, and I ask for your support. Collectively, we will make a difference. I am the most experienced candidate that can bring results to East County the minute I take the oath of office. What you see is what you get, and I will be honored to represent you. Thank you.
Any questions? I'll start. You started talking about development in the county, and East County is where the land is. What type of development do you think serves the county best in those areas? Looking forward to populations growing and cities growing out to those areas.
Well, again, I think it's planned development. I think the goal for sustainable economic development is the opportunity to work, live, and play in your region where you are living, so that again, your work is accessible. We're no longer a bedroom community. We're a sustainable, planned, well-funded, well-thought-out community.
You touched on this a little bit in your speech, but some of the problems that I see with the county commissioner, the East County Commissioner seat, is that it's always an uphill battle for the services in East County. Law enforcement is obviously one of them, but and you mentioned this about the rate of kids receiving subsidized lunches have grown 400%. Have you given any thought about how you're going to be able to draw more attention to the needs of East County once in the position?
Again, I believe I've already started that process by being at the table for many of these discussions. I was appointed by Chair Diane Lynn to chair Multnomah County's Commission on Children's Families and Communities, which is really kind of the oversight body of those dollars. And through that, being at that table, establishing a strong working relationship, I believe we've begun to see that shift of dollars. And I will continue to be at those tables and again, just being that loud, consistent voice so the need is recognized. It's really tough right now because even with a 100% increase in the city of Portland, that in itself is not acceptable. But again, the equity, the reality that we are seeing a much greater increase in East County, we just have to ensure that that money comes this way. And I think because I've established those relationships, we'll just continue to work towards making that happen. Mike.
In the last few years, the county commission has been sort of fractured as far as personality-wise. What do you see that you bring to the table as far as personality and how you'll be able to affect that? And then secondly, in your prepared statements, you mentioned some of the policies that are now in effect as far as law enforcement is concerned you agree with, and some you do not. Is there some changes that you'd like to see?
Taking the first question, which was, if you'll remind me.
Right. It's been fractured in the past. Sort of personalities have sort of been combative with each other. How are you going to fit into that mold, and how do you see yourself, addressing some of that?
Well, I believe I thrive on teamwork. I think I've demonstrated that. I believe in a collaborative process and working together. I also believe that we are to disagree, but we are to disagree behind the scenes and then move forward with a collective voice. And again, I've thrived on that type of working relationship my entire career. And even if we go back even further into I have always enjoyed athletics and the teamwork associated with that. I firmly believe shared success is the greatest success. And again, I've tried to model that in my law enforcement career as well as in my life. When you ask about specific policies, or could you be specific in?
Some of the questions regarding installation of a appointed director for jail services versus elected. Things within that genre that are law enforcement related, that right now is county policy, that if areas where you don't agree, what are those areas?
I think the sheriff should be elected, not appointed. I don't think the sheriff or the jail function should report to the Board of County Commissioner. I think what is occurring right now is a short-term, 6-month to 1 year kind of interim piece to try and get a handle, for want of a better word, of the functioning of the corrections aspect of the sheriff's office. Again, it is designed to be 6 months to 1 year. At present, within the sheriff's office, there's a chief deputy position in charge of corrections. I would think that is the logical position to be managing the corrections aspect, and to bring in this chief operating officer who is coming in, who is actually, I think, close to being hired. Again, is an interim step to bring it to a certain level. That position then needs to go away, and the chief deputy on the correction side needs to be the person taking care of that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Chief, you make it very clear in your written statement that you feel that the law enforcement duties of the sheriff's office should be contracted to other agencies. That's obviously been tried and tested numerous times. It has failed every time due to budgetary or fiscal constraints. If that gets looked at again by the board and it falls by the wayside, what would your position be on the sheriff's office budget? Would it be enhancing it, trying to push us stronger, get us more viable, getting us bigger, getting us more that we can get with different grants and those kind of things? Or would it be just slowly cut back to just, I don't want to leave that
Sure.
wide open, but.
If I said law enforcement in there, I'd like to correct myself. Really what I talk about is the patrol function of the sheriff's office being contracted to the other cities. So and because right now I believe we're seeing a duplication of services, we're seeing a larger response time for the sheriff's office, for the sheriff patrol deputies being spread so thinly. I think we then still have the task force concept that is in place well, that as I mentioned earlier, really does prove to be the most successful and efficient way to do business. Now, if we try it and it doesn't work, then clearly we do have to look at some other funding sources, whether it be grants, to enhance that piece for the sheriff's office, because there's an element in unincorporated Multnomah County that I think wants to see a greater presence.
So just to clarify then, because you did state that in number 4, I do feel law enforcement duties should be contracted. You're talking strictly patrol, because obviously we have detectives.
Correct.
SIU,
Yes. And ideally, again, I'd like to see, well, we know SIU, we know the gang team, those sorts of things. I'd even like to see investigations, detectives go regionally. We made a really good first effort at that. That didn't last certainly as long as we wanted to, but we were on the right track with that.